Can someone please help her? The shout cut through the orchestra's music, like a crack of thunder. Every head turned toward the back of the ballroom. Plates clattered. The violinist froze mid-note. A young waitress, no older than 20, was kneeling beside a little girl in a white dress who sat trembling beneath the tablecloth. Her wide, tearful eyes darted around the glittering crowd of tuxedos and diamonds, but not a single person moved. "Mr. Hale, is that your daughter?" the hostess whispered. At the far end of the hall, Gregory Hale, billionaire, philanthropist, and tonight's guest of honor, blinked in confusion. Cameras clicked as he hurried toward the commotion. The girl didn't look up. Her hands were moving fast, urgent, graceful gestures in the air. The waitress stared for a second, realizing what she was seeing. "She's signing," she murmured. "She's trying to tell us something." No one else understood. The crowd just watched, murmuring. Gregory knelt, speaking gently. "Sweetheart, what's wrong? Talk to me." But she couldn't. She was deaf. And in that moment, surrounded by hundreds of people, she was utterly alone. The waitress, Maya, hesitated for just a breath, then lifted her own hands. Slowly, carefully, she signed back. "Are you okay?" The girl froze. Her eyes widened. For the first time that night, someone had spoken her language. Around them, the whispers swelled. Does she know sign language? Who is that waitress? Why is she talking to the kid? Gregory's confusion shifted into something sharper. Disapproval. "Miss," he said, his voice low but firm. "Step away, please." Maya's hands paused midair. The girl clutched her sleeve, refusing to let go. "Sir," Maya said softly. She's scared. "Just let me." "I said step away." The girl's face crumpled. Maya's heart twisted. Every camera in the room was now pointed at them. The billionaire father pulling his daughter away from the only person who'd reached her. And just before Maya stood up, the girl managed one last sign. "Don't leave me." Maya froze. She didn't know why this moment felt bigger than her job or this party. But deep down, she knew this wasn't over. Because somewhere behind that perfect smile and billion-dollar fortune was a family breaking in silence. The gala ended in whispers. Guests hurried out, pretending not to gossip, but their murmurs filled the night like sparks in dry grass. By the time the last champagne glass clinked back onto a silver tray, Maya stood alone in the hallway, clutching her apron. Her manager's voice echoed behind her. "Pack up, Maya. You're done for the night, and probably done for good." She turned. "Sir," she was terrified. "I just wanted to help." "You embarrassed the host in front of half the city." His tone cut sharp. "Do you know who that man is?" Maya's silence answered him. That was Gregory Hale. The man who owns this hotel, this catering company, maybe this whole block. And you, he jabbed a finger toward her, you talked his daughter like she was your friend. She is human, isn't she? Her words landed like a slap. For a second, even her manager faltered. Then he sighed. "Go home, Maya, before you make this worse." She left through the back exit, heart pounding. Outside, cold rain had begun to fall, streaking the alley lights. But all she could think about were the little girl's eyes, the fear in them, the way she'd signed "Don't leave me." Maya hadn't used sign language in years, not since her little brother Daniel had passed away. He was born deaf, and she'd spent most of her childhood learning his world, until one night a hit-and-run took him away. She'd locked the language deep inside, too painful to use again, until tonight. The next morning, the news broke across every channel. Gregory Hale's daughter's emotional breakdown at charity gala. Reporters had grainy phone footage, her trembling under the table, Maya's hands signing in the air, Gregory pulling her away. The internet had already picked sides. Some blamed the father for neglect. Others accused Maya of grandstanding for sympathy. Maya watched from her tiny apartment, shocked. A knock sounded at her door. She opened it to find a man in a black suit holding an envelope. "From Mr. Hale," he said, then left without another word. Inside the envelope was a non-disclosure agreement and a check, $50,000. At the bottom, "For your silence and discretion." Maya stared at the paper, then at her phone screen. paused on the girl's face from the news clip. She whispered, "What kind of father pays to hide his daughter's voice?" That night, unable to sleep, she found herself walking near the Hale estate, a sprawling mansion on the hill, its windows glowing faintly against the storm. She didn't know why she came, only that something inside her wouldn't rest. Through the gate, she could see the girl in the upstairs window, alone again, signing to herself in the dark. Maya's breath caught, and that's when the gates opened. "Miss Carter," said a voice behind her. She turned. A tall woman in a gray uniform, one of the house staff, was standing there. "Mr. Hale will see you now." Maya froze. He asked for me?" The woman nodded. "He says it's time you understand your position." As the gates closed behind her, Maya felt a chill crawl up her spine, because whatever waited for her inside that mansion wasn't just about a scared little girl anymore. It was about the secret this family had been hiding for years. The Hale mansion didn't look like a home. It looked like a museum built for secrets. Every surface gleamed, every hallway echoed too loudly, and every picture on the wall showed Gregory smiling beside powerful people, but never his daughter. Maya followed the housekeeper down a long corridor until they stopped before a set of double doors. The woman lowered her voice. "He's waiting in the study. Speak carefully, Miss Carter." When Maya stepped inside, Gregory Hale stood with his back to her, facing a window that looked out over the city. The skyline glowed like a kingdom he owned. "You came," he said without turning. "I half expected you to cash the check and disappear." "I almost did," Maya said, "but then I remembered your daughter's face." He finally turned. His eyes were cold, calculating. "You think you understand her?" "I don't, but I saw her, which is more than I can say for everyone at that party." Gregory's jaw tightened. "My daughter doesn't need pity. She has the best doctors, the best tutors. She has no one who listens." Maya snapped, surprising herself. "No one who even tries to speak her language." The silence that followed was thick enough to choke on. Gregory walked to his desk, pressing his hands flat against it. "Do you know what it's like to be the man everyone looks to? Investors, partners, board members? Everything I built could collapse if people saw weakness, if they thought I couldn't even manage my own child." Maya stared at him. "So you hide her?" He didn't answer. She looked around the study. No photos of the girl, no drawings, no sign she even existed here. Just trophies, awards, and glossy magazine covers. Then a soft knock came from the door behind her. Maya turned to see the little girl standing there, clutching a notebook to her chest. "Lila," Gregory said sharply, "back to your room." But Lila didn't move. Her eyes were red from crying. Slowly, she lifted her hands and began to sign. Gregory's face hardened. "Stop that." "She's just trying to talk to you," Maya said quietly. "She doesn't need to talk," Gregory shot back. "She needs to learn control. The world doesn't bend for her. Maybe it should." Lila's lip trembled. She signed faster, words tumbling out like a storm of hands and heart. Maya could barely keep up. "She says she dreams of her mother," Maya translated softly, "that you don't talk about her anymore. She misses the way her mom used to sign bedtime stories." Gregory flinched as if struck. "Enough." "She also says she doesn't want to be invisible anymore." The billionaire turned away, breathing hard. His knuckles whitened against the desk. When he finally spoke, his voice was raw. "You think I don't love her? That I don't blame myself every day? You know nothing about what happened to her mother." Maya waited. "Then tell me." But he didn't. He just said, "You'll be here at 8 a.m. tomorrow. My daughter seems to respond to you. If you can teach her, do it. But stay out of family matters. Do you understand?" She nodded slowly, knowing there was more buried under his words than he dared reveal. As she left the study, Lila grabbed her hand, small, trembling fingers locking around Maya's like a lifeline. Maya bent down and whispered, "Don't worry, Lila. I'm not going anywhere." The girl smiled faintly, signing one simple word that broke Maya's heart wide open. "Promise?" Maya nodded. "Promise." But as the heavy doors closed behind them, she couldn't shake the feeling that this house was built on something darker than grief, something that was about to surface. And when she passed the hallway again, she noticed one portrait turned backward against the wall, as if someone didn't want it to be seen. The morning sun poured through the mansion's tall windows, cutting through dust that seemed older than the house itself. Maya sat with Lila at the breakfast table, spreading out flashcards with pictures and signs. Lila's hands fluttered in the air, confident now. She was laughing, really laughing, for the first time since Maya had met her. The sound was soft, breathy, but alive. Gregory watched from across the room, silent, unreadable. He had a meeting in an hour, but his coffee sat untouched. Something about seeing his daughter smile unsettled him, as if happiness had become a threat. "You're doing great, Lila," Maya said. "You're faster than I am." Lila grinned, signing. "You're my friend." Maya smiled back. "Always." Gregory stood suddenly. "That's enough for today." Lila's face fell. "But she needs rest," he said curtly, leaving the room. The housekeeper entered a moment later, watching him go. "He can't stand reminders," she whispered. "Reminders of what?" Maya asked. The woman hesitated, glancing toward the doorway. Her mother. The portrait at the end of the West Hall. That was the last thing she painted before the accident. Maya frowned. "The one that's turned a wall?" The woman nodded, lowering her voice. She was an artist. Beautiful soul. Taught Lila to sign when she was barely walking. After she died, Mr. Hale removed every trace of her. Maya's throat tightened. Why would he erase her? "Because he blamed her," the woman said softly. "And maybe because he blamed himself." That night, long after everyone had gone to bed, Maya found herself wandering toward the West Hall. The lights flickered dimly, throwing long shadows across the paintings. Portraits of men in suits, women in pearls, frozen smiles of family that looked perfect only from far away. At the end stood the covered frame. Dust gathered thickly along its edges. She hesitated, glancing down the corridor. Then she pulled the cloth aside. The painting was breathtaking. A woman sitting in a garden, laughing as a small child splashed paint beside her. The little girl's hands were mid-motion, signing love. Maya's heart twisted. It was Lila, years younger, but the brushstrokes near the top corner caught her eye. Hidden among the petals was a faint shape, a man's reflection in the window behind them, watching, distant, alone. Suddenly, a voice came from behind her. "You shouldn't be here." Maya spun around. Gregory stood in the doorway, face shadowed, jaw clenched. "I was just looking for answers?" His tone was tired, not angry this time. "You think a painting will tell you what kind of man I am?" "I think it already does," Maya said quietly. "You were always there, but never with them." His expression hardened. "You don't know what happened that night." "Then tell me." Gregory stepped closer. My wife, took Lila out in the storm. Said she wanted to show her the city lights. I told her it was too dangerous. I told her to stay, but she wouldn't listen." He stared past Maya, eyes unfocused. The car spun off the bridge. Lila survived because she couldn't hear her mother scream. That's the last thing I remember. The silence. I can't stand it. I can't stand her silence. Every time she signs, I see the woman I lost. Maya's voice softened. "And that's why you hide her? Because she reminds you of love." He didn't answer. "Gregory," she said, "you don't have to erase her to live with her memory." He shook his head, stepping back. "You don't understand what people like me risk when we show weakness. Empathy doesn't build empires." "No," Maya said, "but it saves souls." For the first time, something in him cracked. Just a flicker, like a man remembering how to feel. But before she could say more, the sound of shattering glass echoed from upstairs. Gregory's head snapped up. "Lila." They ran to the halls together, up the staircase, into a room where the windows stood wide open, curtains thrashing in the wind. Lila was gone. Maya's heart stopped. On the bed lay a single note, written in careful handwriting. "If I can't be heard, maybe I'll make them see me." Gregory's face drained of color. Dear God, what has she done? The mansion erupted into chaos. Security guards rushed through hallways, Radios crackling, flashlights cutting through the night. The rain outside was relentless, hammering the glass like a warning. Gregory stood frozen at the window, his reflection pale and lost. She's out there alone, and she can't even hear the traffic. Maya grabbed his arm. Then stop standing here and help me find her. That snapped him out of it. Within minutes, cars screeched out of the gates. Gregory's men spread through the city, calling her name, showing pictures. Maya went with one of them, clutching Lila's notebook in her lap. Flipping through its pages, she realized it wasn't just sketches. It was a diary. Simple drawings paired with small written captions. A window into the world of a girl who'd grown up unseen. One page stopped her cold. A drawing of the bridge. The same one from Gregory's story. Beneath it, the words, "If I find the place where she disappeared, maybe I'll see her again." Maya's breath caught. The bridge. She went back there. The driver slammed the brakes near the waterfront. Police lights flashed in the distance, reflecting off the wet asphalt. Maya jumped out before the car even stopped. "Lila!" she screamed, her voice barely audible over the rain. Then she saw her, standing at the edge of the bridge, soaked, trembling, her small figure outlined by the city lights. Maya ran. "Lila!" The girl turned, eyes wide, tears mixing with the rain. Her hands moved rapidly in the air. "I didn't mean to scare anyone." Maya signed back. "It's okay, but you can't do this. Please, come down." Gregory arrived seconds later, breathless. The sight of his daughter, at that edge, broke something in him. He stepped forward, rain streaming down his face. "Lila," his voice cracked. "Sweetheart, I'm here." She shook her head. "No, you're not. You never are." He froze, unsure what she was saying until Maya whispered the translation beside him. Each word hit him like a stone. He took another step, hands shaking. "You're right. I wasn't there. Not when you needed me. I didn't know how to love you without hearing you." Lila was crying now, shoulders trembling. She signed again, then learn. Gregory dropped to his knees right there in the rain, hands rising uncertainly as he tried to copy her gestures. The words came out broken, awkward, but real. "I will learn." Maya stood motionless, tears mixing with the storm. In that moment, the billionaire who ruled cities was just a father, begging his daughter to come home. Lila took a small step forward, then another. When she reached him, Gregory wrapped her in his arms and held her as if the world might shatter otherwise. The crowd of onlookers and flashing cameras didn't matter. For once, he didn't care about appearances, only silence. But this time it was the kind that healed. Hours later, back at the mansion, Lila sat wrapped in a blanket while Maya made her hot cocoa. Gregory paced nearby, staring at his phone as hundreds of missed calls flashed across the screen. Reporters, board members, business partners. "Don't answer them," Maya said quietly. "Let them wait." He looked at her, almost smiling. "I think I will." Lila lifted her hands, signing something to Maya. "She says thank you," Maya translated. "For what?" Gregory asked. Lila pointed at both of them. "For listening." For a moment, none of them spoke. Then Gregory walked over to the fireplace and pulled something from a drawer. The check he'd sent Maya. He tore it in half, the paper curling in the fire. "You were right," he said softly. "Some things can't be bought." Maya smiled. "I didn't do it for money." "I know." Then his expression shifted. "There's something I need to do tomorrow. Something I should have done a long time ago." Maya raised a brow. "What's that?" He looked toward Lila, who was smiling faintly at the flames. "Let her be seen." The next morning, the city woke to headlines about the Hale family. Photos of the bridge, the drenched billionaire, the girl who couldn't hear, and the young woman who'd saved her. Gregory's PR team begged for statements. He ignored every call. By noon, invitations were already out for the Hale Foundation's annual charity gala, the one everyone in the upper world attended to be seen. But this year, something was different. The usual symphony performance was canceled. The glittering decor replaced by minimalist white and soft blue lights. And at the center of the stage stood a single grand piano. Maya arrived backstage uncertain whether she was supposed to be there. Gregory met her. No tie, no bodyguards, just a father. I need you to help me, he said. With what? He looked toward the piano where Lila sat, her hands resting gently on the keys. She wrote something. She wants to play it tonight. I want the world to listen. Maya blinked, but she doesn't. She feels the music, Gregory interrupted. She doesn't have to hear it. When the lights dimmed, a murmur rippled through the ballroom. Cameras flashed. Everyone expected another speech about wealth and charity. Instead, Gregory stepped up to the microphone. For years, he began slowly, I built towers so tall they blocked out the sky. I thought success was measured in noise, applause, deals, headlines. Until I met someone who showed me that sometimes the loudest truth lives in silence. He turned toward his daughter. Tonight, my daughter Lila will perform a piece she composed herself. It's called The Noise of Silence. Whispers swept through the crowd. A deaf girl? Playing piano? Maya stood beside the stage, watching as Lila lifted her small hands and began to play. The first notes were tentative, trembling, but then something shifted. Her body swayed with the rhythm she felt through the vibrations in the floorboards. Every chord carried motion instead of sound. Anger, hope, forgiveness, love. Maya glanced around the hall. For the first time, this glittering audience wasn't gossiping or checking their phones. They were transfixed by a child who couldn't hear a single note, yet filled the room with something greater than music. Halfway through the piece, Gregory stepped to the piano and, without a word, began signing the lyrics Lila had written to accompany it. On the massive screen behind them, his hands translated into words for everyone to read. You looked at me but never saw me. You spoke but never heard. Now I speak without sound. And you finally listen. The audience fell utterly silent. Not polite silence, sacred silence. When the last note faded, Lila lifted her hands from the keys. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the entire ballroom rose in a standing ovation. Tears streamed down faces accustomed to hiding emotion. Maya clapped harder than anyone, her chest tight with pride. She glanced at Gregory and saw something she never expected. Peace. Later that night, outside the hall, reporters crowded around them. Mr. Hale, what inspired this change? He looked at Lila before answering. My daughter taught me that silence isn't emptiness, it's space. Space to feel what words can't hold. And what's next for you and your foundation? Another asked. He smiled. We're launching a program for children with hearing impairments. Music therapy through vibration and movement. Lila will lead it. The cameras flashed as Lila grinned shyly, signing thank you to Maya. Hours later, the gala was over. The lights dimmed. Maya helped Lila pack her sheet music, while Gregory lingered by the stage. You know, he said softly, I used to think my legacy would be steel and glass. But tonight, he exhaled, eyes glistening. It's something I can't touch. Maya smiled. That's because it's finally real. Lila tugged his sleeve and signed. Can we go to the bridge tomorrow? Gregory nodded. Yes, sweetheart. But this time we'll go together. The next morning, dawn spilled gold over the river. The three of them stood where the whole story had begun. Lila set her notebook on the railing and opened to a blank page. With careful strokes, she drew a sun rising over the water and three small figures holding hands. Gregory watched, emotion breaking his voice. What's that one called? Lila looked up and signed a single word. Family. Maya translated, but he already knew. The river moved quietly below them, carrying away reflections of pain, pride, and every mistake that had led to this place. The city behind them roared with life, but up here there was peace, a silence that didn't isolate but embraced. Gregory took one last look at the skyline that once defined him. Then he turned toward his daughter. You ready? Lila smiled. Always. And together. With Maya beside them, they walked away from the edge, leaving behind a world that had finally learned to listen.